community? Are there any specific questions you may have as a board that came up between now and when we went over it last? By Iowa code, we're required to have an opportunity for community members to ask questions on the budget, and this is their opportunity. But if there are none, that's
Community member right there.
right.
That's a deal. If not,
Okay.
I entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
We fight over it. All right, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, thank you. All right, and now, before we had to wait a certain time, now we can move right on into our regular board meeting. I'd like to welcome everyone. The mission of the Wells Community School District is to provide education that encourages continual progress through the improvement of one's abilities, the expansion of one's interests and knowledge, and the growth of one's character. Please, Joy, call to order. Roll call again.
Tim Barrett.
Here.
Linda Duncan.
Here.
Jeremy Lees.
Here.
Rob Metzger.
Here.
Tara Owen.
Here. All right, agenda approval. Any additions, changes, or corrections, Mr. Burnett?
No, the only thing I wouldn't mention, and I guess it's a question for Joy, I don't know if she uploaded, we had a resignation come in today for letter D on your hard copy, Mr. Grunder for the assistant varsity football coach. I don't know,
Yes, I did get that up.
so it is uploaded, but,
Yep.
It's just not on.
well, it's on this sheet, but I didn't know if it made the uploaded copy.
Oh,
This
I
was
see.
like right before the board meeting. So
Yep.
no, I have nothing, I just want to make sure in case you didn't see that.
So it is.
Everything is good.
All right.
Yep.
Motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's do the minutes of approval of the March 10th regular meeting first.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then next is March 24th special meeting.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, public forum.
Yeah, we're excited to have our FFA members here tonight. Mr. Snavely, do you want to give an introduction a little bit about their Samsung project, maybe introduce the team and
Yeah, I
lose?
was lucky enough to see this morning, so we presented to our staff. So this is the Ag Issues team. They placed second at the regional, and they'll go to the MFA convention next week. You'll see it's a split between Berg and Grant students, and they did a great job this morning, and we wish them good luck and enjoy the presentation from them.
Yeah, we have JC and Elizabeth, they're our Durant girls, so glad to see them over here tonight too. So, you're up.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Taylor Schultz. I'm the Cedar County Farm Bureau President, and I have been invited to be your moderator today. Remember the good old days when commodity groups had slogans like beef, it's what's for dinner, and pork, the other white meat? How about restaurants themselves? KFC, finger looking good. McDonald's, 2 all-beef patties on a sesame seed bun. Wendy's, where's the beef? Burger King, home of the Whopper. And Subway, eat fresh. But today, we are hearing things like Burger King, home of the Impossible Burger. The Impossible Burger, Beyond Meat, or as Bill Gates refers to it as synthetic meat, are plant-based meats making their way into fast food chains everywhere. As a person in agriculture, there are many questions about this trend. Why plant-based meat? Is it healthier? Has demand for non-meat become so strong that we need to replace it in traditional meat-based restaurants? Welcome to our town hall meeting, where today we will discuss the differences, similarities, and the need for Impossible Burgers and synthetic meat. Our guests today are Kylie Langley, a beef producer from Eastern Iowa, JC Weiss, a diversified livestock producer, also from Eastern Iowa, Elizabeth Dahlfeld, a food scientist, and Anna Marine, the owner of 8 different restaurant franchises.
Good evening, everyone. I am Kylie Langley, and I currently have a 200 cow-calf head operation, and I annually purchase an additional 1,500 feeder calves in North and Wisconsin. The cattle market is always fluctuating, and the most difficult part about marketing cattle is that the consumer is so removed from agriculture that any type of negative perceived beef news can really hurt our markets. We constantly battle things from trade wars to the coronavirus, and now the rich and famous are telling the public that they need to stop eating meat to save the world. Fake news is telling people to eat fake meat to save the world.
Good evening. I am Casey Lees. I too am a livestock producer, but I'm also a grain farmer. I market 400 head of beef, 15,000 hogs, and 200,000 head of broilers each year, as well as raising over 5,000 acres of corn and soybeans. I enjoy working with animals and it's my passion. I'm a member of the Iowa Cattlemen's Association, Pork Producers, and Poultry Association, as well as the Corn and Soybean Association. My main goal is to make sure there are numerous markets for everything I produce. I do understand that the consumer has a choice in what to eat, and that's why I'm diversified. I work hard to make sure consumers can have the option between fresh chicken, perfectly grilled corn-fed steaks, or the best Iowa chop anywhere. But it's beyond my comprehension as to why someone would want a grilled burger that isn't a burger. It is even more confusing as to why fast food restaurants, known for their beef burgers, fried chicken, or McRibs, would want to add plant-based meat products to their menus. And I know they use my soybeans to make this, but it's beyond me why people want beyond meat.
Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Dalto, and I'm a food scientist, or food engineer, if you will. I work in research to develop new flavors, new foods, and new choices for consumers. I have worked extensively on the new cell-based synthetic meat. Why? Because there are 336 million people in the United States and 7.8 billion people in the world. On the contrary, not everyone eats meat, and meat will not feed everyone. This is the reason for developing other sources of protein for the hungry people of the world. You ask why we make meat. Why we make meatless burger? The answer is simple. Because as food scientists, we can. As food engineers, we strive to make a healthy, nutritious, and delicious alternative product to meet the needs of the 7.8 billion people of the world.
Good morning, everyone. Or evening, I suppose. I'm Anne Marie. I guess I was invited here because I own fast food restaurants. I own 4 McDonald's, 2 Burger Kings, and 2 KFC restaurants. As a business person, I have one objective: give the consumer what they want. My menu changes often, and I try to offer my customers what they desire. As a franchise owner, my fees go into the research that develops new products for my menu that will bring more consumers into my restaurant. I'm really no different than the livestock producer who pays fees to belong to a commodity association in order to research and develop new products that will increase the demand for their livestock. I want to offer products that increase the demand for food in my restaurants.
I understand that as a businessman, you want to have a menu that offers a variety of foods to attract different people. But I'm not sure how many vegetarians are just clamoring for a Burger King burger made from soybeans. And if they are, is it because they believe that it's a healthier option? They may believe it, but remember, the truth will set you free. But first, it will annoy you. According to Healthline.com, the original Whopper has 660 calories compared to the Impossible Burger at 630 calories. The original Whopper has 40 grams of fat, and the Impossible Burger only has 34. And the most important nutritional element, the protein level, the Whopper has a whopping 28 grams of protein, and the Impossible Burger only racks in at 25. I guess that Impossible, it really is a good name for it, because it's nearly impossible to make a low-calorie, healthy, high-protein, plant-based burger.
Livestock commodity groups have worked hard for as long as I can remember, telling the consumer all about the healthy aspects of meat and the role cattle play in consuming grass prairies and turning it into a high-protein, healthy food for a starving planet. But now, people like Bill Gates tell us we need to switch to synthetic meats to save the planet. The cows are producing too much methane, and the soy-based fake meat will save us all. I'm sure his proposals have nothing to do with the fact that he is the largest stakeholder of Impossible Foods, Beyond Meat, Memphis Meats, and Hampton Creek Foods, all produced with synthetic meat. Or the fact that he owns 242,000 acres of ground that can produce soybeans. I believe these are real reasons Mr. Gates would love to see synthetic meat replace the beef industry. He knows that synthetic meat is bland, but tells people you can get used to the taste difference.
Not to mention the fact that he's proposing getting rid of all cattle. Bill Gates is telling everyone that cattle are the worst thing in our effort to stop climate change. He blames cow flatulence for global warming and is even quoted as saying, "I'm afraid synthetic meat will be required for at least the beef thing." What Mr. Gates fails to tell everyone is that 60% of methane in the atmosphere comes from sources scientists link as human produced. And the rest come from sources that that existed before humans started influencing the carbon cycle. About a third of all methane floating in the modern day atmosphere comes from the wetlands. But you don't hear Mr. Gates telling us to drain the wetlands. And by the way, the EPA estimates cattle emissions at a 2% for U.S. coast.
As a livestock producer, I can see your frustration with Mr. Gates and his comments, and with the decision of fast food restaurants to add synthetic meat to our menus. But you do realize that as a franchise owner, I do not make, select, or even have any say as to what goes on the menus. The corporate office develops new food items, run the testing, and provide the marketing in the form of TV ads, billboards, and social media. It is then up to me to provide these new items so the consumer has a choice. We simply offer new products to meet our consumers' desires.
I know you think that you're just providing what the consumer wants, but think about the message that you're sending to the consumer. In 2018, your advertisement for Whoppers, Burger King, RB patties are made with no preservatives, no artificial ingredients, no fillers, and no nonsense. Now in 2021, you're advertising the Impossible Burger. All Whopper, no beef. It's just as juicy, craveable, and delicious as the original Whopper. What message are you sending to the consumer? Burger King in the past. Quarter pound of savory flame grilled beef. Burger King today. 100% Whopper, 0% beef.
Okay, I think this is where I need to step in. The product Impossible Meat has been around for 5 years, and the company that produced the Impossible Burger, Impossible Foods, was founded in 2011, and it's been around for 10 years. Their aim is to give people the taste and nutritional benefits of meat without the negative health and environmental impacts associated with livestock products. The company's signature product, the Impossible Burger, was launched in July 2016. In April 2019, Burger King began test marketing an Impossible Whopper using the plant-based patty at locations around St. Louis. Then, in August 2019, it was officially made available nationwide. 8 years after the company was established and 4 years after the Impossible Burger was created. It has been a part of the mainstream market for 3 years, and sales are reasonable.
I'm not sure what you think is reasonable. I would not say my sales of the Impossible Burger are reasonable. I only sell about 30 Impossible Burgers per day, and this is the same number of Impossible Burgers that other Burger Kings across the U.S. sell. These types of sales do not lead to a drop in beef demand or prices. Speaking of prices, I do think that the price of the Impossible Burger is hurting its sales. An Impossible Burger costs $5.59 compared to a Whopper at only $4. Our parent company is not putting it on the value menu in order to help boost sales. And I know you're wondering, so I'll tell you. We sell about 235 real Whoppers per day.
But the fact of the matter is, you're selling fake meat. Seems like everyone is jumping on the fake meat bandwagon. Even KFC is bringing in fake chicken. I don't know why fast food companies used to advertise their food with slogans like cleaner than good, or small meat patties, or even Burger King's ad of a moldy burger, and the words, the beauty of no artificial ingredients. We even think about serving fake meat. The messages they are sending are really confusing. I would like to think they're confusing their consumers as well.
Okay, once again, let me do some clarifying. There's some confusing information circulating in the media right now. Remember when fake meat was the savior for food purists and visionary chefs everywhere? Many were enthusiastically in favor of it. But as soon as fake meat hit the trays at Burger King, they were fretting about how overprocessed it was. There's a lot of processing in the Impossible Burger, and it has more than its fair share of ingredients for 21 different products. The major one being soybeans. As a matter of fact, it is soy hema that gives the Impossible Burger its meat flavor, and even makes it look like it's bleeding. There have been years of science behind meatless meat, and I think that there are enough consumers to meet the demands of both the Whopper and the Impossible Burger. And let's face it, the cowboy in the Burger King commercial probably isn't going to make meat eaters go vegan, nor will a tasty Whopper make someone who's vegan give up their lifestyle. Menus expand and change to keep up with the consumer's demands.
Exactly. My menu evolves all the time. Serving an average of 235 Whoppers has kept it on my menu. Serving fewer than 30 of any other sandwich may result in us removing it from the menu. I mean, we try new things all the time. Look at my KFC franchise. We are now offering glazed donuts with our chicken, and yes, we're also offering Beyond Meat chicken nuggets. I don't know if they will turn into big sellers or not, but again, I'm just trying to meet the customer demand for new and different. We offer some things that last for a short time and then are removed from the menu, and we are constantly changing things.
I know you sell very few of the Impossible Burgers and other synthetic meat, which is all the more reason to ask, why even sell them at all? I have no problem offering a non-meat alternative to a plate of vegetables, but you yourself said that your sales are very low. This leads me to believe that vegetarians and companies have a lot invested in synthetic meats and are using their influences to promote fake meat while at the same time eliminating real meat.
Wow, a lot of information and data have been exchanged this evening. What type of meat is healthier, or are they the same? Is this truly a meat versus vegan debate? Will fake meat help or hurt the planet's fight with climate change? And most importantly, will fake meat remain on the menu as demand drops in restaurants? Or will they replace meat items if their sales increase? We're out of time for our roundtable discussion this evening. If you would like to join in on the discussion, we invite you to join us later as we will continue the discussion and ask for audience participation. Thank you for attending this evening, and we hope to see you later. Are there any questions?
Do you normally take questions, or is this like?
Judges usually ask questions.
Oh, the judges do. Very good. I don't know, do you want to mention anything, board members? It's outstanding.
It was very good. I loved it. I like the topic you chose because it is controversial but I like all your different people. The scientists, because you do need facts and everything, but yeah, love it. That is very good.
Thank you.
What was the hardest part of putting this together as you guys worked through it?
I think it was really hard to make it like where one side wasn't like more opinionated than the other side, just making an even argument. Where we weren't like pushing for real meat, but we weren't also pushing for fake meat.
Yeah.
Getting the flow of it too, just,
Yeah.
I mean, it is a script, so making it seem like a real conversation is a struggle, but
Yes.
How long did you work on it? I mean, from like when you started the idea to this finished product, how long was the time period?
We had a few different scripts that we worked on for a few weeks before districts, but we finally had the final script that week. So it was kind of hard going in there with our final set, but I think we did really good at districts when it came to flowing.
Yes, this is, very good.
what was it, technology? That
Yes.
marked us the second?
A lot of our points that were docked were technology points because you only get like 10 minutes to set up and we exceeded that time limit.
Oh,
So tell them what your next step is. So Sunday we head up to state convention, and then Monday morning we will present to one set of judges. They split the districts in half, and then we'll present to a set of judges, and then the other people will present. And then if they like our presentation, we'll get to move on and present to the other set. And the goal is to get first, and if we get first, we get to go to nationals next fall. I don't know. Sometimes second also gets to go, but I'm not sure what they're doing this year.
very good.
I'll say good job. Thanks for throwing the Iowa Poultry Association. As a member of that one, that one's pretty good. But very good job, because being in the FFA, I'm sure some of you want to go into the animal industry. That is probably one of the biggest struggles of the animal industry right now, is the information from both sides of everything. So it's very fascinating to hear students go through and look at trying to make it even. You can get on the internet, you can really find some bad stuff about the one and the other, and some really good stuff about the one and the other. So it's very complicated to try and work through all that with science. And so, very good. I do appreciate it.
Cool.
All right, well, good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
Exciting.
Do you want us to move the table or do it?
You can leave it. Matter of fact, you can leave it there. I don't know, you want to come up closer, or is it good to talk to your master? Maybe I want to come over. I know. Why do I feel like veggie burgers have been around for a while? What's the veggie burger and synthetic? Aren't they one and the same?
Well,
I
veggie
think that,
burgers are made out of black beans, and you know it's a veggie burger. I think we're talking about burgers that they
Because I
want
went in there today and I can
feel
only
and
go
taste
screen
and smell like
cream.
burger,
Ice
as opposed
cream.
to a true.
Like I have gone
Yeah,
out.
they-
Then you
Oh.
roll, where's it goes to rice and
You must
black
have not
beans
have
and
those
you know
rice.
that. But this stuff is good.
I so, I
I'll
also
go
think
in and I'll just,
hamburger
I
was like
want, not sure.
soybean hamburger. Like it didn't look right, it didn't look right, it didn't look, like there
That'd
was
probably be
nothing
easier for you than.
normal about it.
Yeah.
But the impossible
Somebody
hamburger,
trying to like, you know, step
Really,
on
mine
Coke
is just one.
thing where you're blindfolded and taste of synthetic burger versus a real one, not
Yeah,
the
that
difference,
makes
but,
but it's fascinating that they're adding product to the hamburger to make it bleed.
That is just
So there's the reports.
No, because if you think, like, I understand that it's disgusting, but if you're going to, if someone comes in and says, I want a medium rare hamburger, and it doesn't show some kind of pinkness to it, it's fake. And so they're doing a very good job of creating it not to be fake by adding something that can make it look like it's bleeding. And it's not bleeding, because it's just purge,
Yeah.
is all it ever was, water. And so, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's amazing what sales and marketing can do.
Yeah, oh, yes, definitely. All right, we'll be moving on.
Yeah.
We are going to go to business financial functions. Angela, please.
Okay, I know when Stacy did this, I think she told you to refer to upload, or what have you. I don't have that, so I'm gonna look off of paper.
Okay.
So, first one we're gonna look at is the taxation fund financial report. And I guess I'm just gonna go through there and basically, point out our actual year-to-date cash and investment balances as of March 31st. So general fund, we're sitting over 3 million, which isn't so far off from last month. Management fund, cash and investments as of March 31st is 434,598. Moving on to bond construction, that's 463,270. Fund 33, which is the local option sales tax revenue, 837,397. And then Fund 34, that's our, with the capital projects. Cash and investments there, 821,358. Then on to Pebble, that one is sitting at 32,066. And then the debt service fund, 140, is sitting just over 1 million. This one, none of the numbers changed, obviously, just a slight increase because of property tax receipts. So I'll give you a minute to look through that if you have any questions. And I will mention, since I am going through the taxation fund, that last Wednesday, April 7th, we did have the closing, and that went very well. There was no issues with the wiring of money to Community Bank. All those numbers and all that transaction you will see next month. The next one we're going to look at is the self-insurance fund. Hopefully that's the next one for you.
So, instructional support levy?
Okay, instructional support levy. Okay. No, that was stapled together, that's why I didn't see it. Okay. All right. Okay, instructional support levy. I just want to bring your attention to the total expenditures to date. And that is a change of approximately 45,000 from last month. And the biggest part of that change dealt with us paying MCC for all the fall classes. Okay, so our remaining expenditures are 117,159 on ISP. Any questions there? Okay.
Now, self-insurance.
Now self-insurance, okay. I'm just going to point out again the balance as of March 31st, and that balance is quite healthy, as you can see. Latchkey? Okay. If you look under month totals, you'll see the grants. We are still getting grant money, that's still coming. So another $2,000. And then if you would look at the next one, the comparison report, you can see that our revenues are up from our expenses, which is good in comparison to what they were a year ago. And our numbers are up just a touch, and I'm sure spring break probably had a little bit to do with that. On to nutrition report. You just have the averages per day for both the lunch and the breakfast. Those are up just a little bit. And then as far as the nutrition program revenues, we are still getting the CARES for the COVID money for the free meals, and as of now, there still is no word as to when that will stop. So we're assuming it's going to go through the summer.
Should go till, I read that September 30th, as far as the free meals go, so we'll start the school year with that. Now, that's subject to change, but that's the last I had seen.
Okay, all right, great.
Yep.
Any questions on those?
And Terry, I think I mentioned this last time, maybe I didn't, I can't remember. With the summer feeding program, that will still continue for everyone, okay? And it's going to be a one-day-a-week pickup. And we think that'll benefit the parents and the school as far as prepping that. Then you only gotta go to school one day a week if you're a parent and get all
Good.
the, goods and take it with you.
Good. Right,
We did it twice a
twice
week.
a week, is what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right.
Activity fund. I'm just going to go through here and point out our negative balances at this point. The industrial arts is still at a negative. The shed is built, is that correct?
They're building it now, but it's been sold, so.
It has been sold, so that will change in the near future. And then the next one is the cheerleading for football. We have a deficit there, but I can personally tell you that is going to be changing because I got hit up for their fundraiser. So, so they're doing their fundraising right now, so that will change. And then down towards the bottom, there's a couple more, the spring canteen and the summer canteen. We have a deficit for the spring canteen due to just the winter inventory, anything left over, that was transferred to spring. And then again, I think this was mentioned last month, that $25 is due to a Sam's
Sims membership.
membership. Okay. And then under FFA for hogs, they're starting to buy their animals now. So more than likely that will remain a deficit, but the money will be allocated from the farm account. So that will change at some point.
And what do you say, Joy, as far as the sales had coming in this month?
What's that?
Wasn't there supposed to be an influx around $21,000? Did I read that on email?
He said he's got corn to sell, yes,
So the corn's being,
yes, and he said it was around $21,000, so hopefully we'll be seeing that.
it's a good time to have crops to sell.
Any questions on activity fund? Okay. The next one is the activities driving report. And as you will see, this month is very short, and that's due to the start of our spring sports. So 304.66 on that. Next one should be the board report. Okay,
The bills.
all right, I have all the normal stuff in there, the gas hall, transportation, phone, internet, city of Wilton. I will note there that they happen to charge us for 4 extra dumps, so we will be getting almost a $200 credit next month. I don't know how that all came together, but I think it was Clarissa that caught that and called down there, so we got that figured out. And the other one, the larger amount on page 5, you'll see the Mississippi Bend AEA. That was our Edgenuity bill. And then on page 6, towards the bottom, you'll notice that we made our third quarter allocation to the pool. So there's a 15,000 there. And then on to page 7 is our Fund 31 with the building project and our construction bills and our apps that were paid for that. And I guess the last one that I want to mention, if you look on page 8, Fund 33, we had a bus where the engine went down on us, so we had we ordered an engine, and both Ryan and then I believe Tim Einhoff, am I correct, Mr. Burnett, helped on that, so saved us some money there with those guys doing that, but that is what that 8,859 is about.
It's amazing with school buses, number one, if we go to sell one, you get robbed, I shouldn't say robbed.
That we don't.
You're lucky to get $1,000. It's insane, okay? And when Ryan came to me, because I believe we had the block was cracked, okay? And so he came to me and says, hey, we could look to get a used diesel, and they're like $55,000 to $65,000, and that had almost 100,000 miles on it. Or we get a brand new bus, which is 85 to 90. Or, and I asked him, well, how good's the body? How good is everything else on there? Because it's excellent. Or we get a refurbished engine at $8,000. To me, that's a no-brainer. As long as, you know, the body's good, everything else is good, you know, in terms of everything underneath the undercarriage, all that type of stuff. So we just try to be aware of that. Some districts that I've, you visit with different superintendents or whatnot, they spend a lot of money on their fleets, and of course we do too, but just like in your own personal fleet, you have to be responsible about that versus just, let's just get new buses. Because if you have a difference of about $50,000 or $60,000, that goes a long way toward your technology, but because it's out of the same pooling as our 1 cent sales tax and our PEPAL funding. So we just try to really be fiscally wise in that department of like, hey, let's make it work. And we still want our buses to be in top shape and look good. But we're not just gonna get a new bus just because of a cracked block.
Well, we put it in the budget. How many, what? to get
Every
a bus?
3 years, we get a new bus.
Right. It's not quite,
How
Yeah.
old of a bus was it?
This bus, Joy, do you know how old this bus is? I don't know off the top of my head.
Wasn't it one of the older ones?
I would say maybe close to 20 years old.
Close to 20 years old. But it's not one of our route buses,
Yeah.
Right.
okay?
Oh.
We've got 5 route buses, and then we've got activity buses, and this is all of our route buses are LP buses, or propane. And, or should I say natural gas, they're one and the same, I think. But, this one's a diesel, and we use it for, you know, going to a junior high girls basketball game once a week, or, you know, having a spare in case something goes down or whatnot. So that's the other thing too. These are activity buses, not our everyday hit the road.
Kind of like a low mileage type bus.
Exactly. I think this bus had 170,000 miles on it. Is what Ryan had said too. So again, if you look at a used one at 55 to 60, and they're pushing 100,000 miles, we can buy a lot of refurbished engines. I actually did it on my truck. I had a truck several years ago, got a rebuild engine, and the engine outlasted the body by a long ways. The rest will take it out a lot of times before the rebuild engine. So anyway, that's just a little bit of background. I'm just giving you some of the insight on.
Because that does look like a lot of money, but when you put it into perspective on the bigger picture, so.
Exactly.
Thank you for the.
Yeah, I'm sorry if that's too much information, but just wanted you to
I think that was a good deal. My brother-in-law just put, I think, a $6,000 one into his pickup. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it really isn't that much further off for us.
True, good point.
And then I just have one more thing to bring to your attention. I know probably throughout the year you've heard about the GEAR funds and the ESSER 1 and the ESSER 2 funds. It's the COVID funds that we are getting from the state. They just released numbers for the third round of ESSER funds. And it's going to be awarded, we're going to get a 2/3 allocation, which is going to be available to the districts on June 1st. And then the second allocation will be available November 1st. And our total is $635,832 is the next allocation.
And how we're approaching that, anything that's been COVID related, we'll take every, how do I say this, again, it's kind of shell game. How can we allocate those dollars into programming pieces that were put in place by, the pandemic, but also if there's money left, how can it enhance our academic programming? And how can we, let me give you an example. Let's say there's technology, let's say we're going to replace laptops or whatnot. It's already in the cycle because it can be used toward technology, increase, enhanced, et cetera. Well, if we have money out of that, and let's say, I'm throwing a number, just hypothetical, let's say $100,000 for replacing technological hardware, et cetera, that ultimately saves our 1 cent sales tax dollars, which allows us to do some other things in the district, whether it's getting a new bus, whether it's, who knows? I mean, it just gives us flexibility. So when I sit down with my administrative team and with Angela, those are the things we look at. The one thing I try not to do is, let's say we wanted to use some of that money for new staffing, okay? We try to implement things here that are sustainable as well. If I were to bring in a social worker, okay, for example, and say, well, hey, that's sustainable for 2 years, or whatnot. Well, in 2 years, when the money is completely gone, because it wouldn't be just a social worker we use this for, of course, then it's like, now we feel like we've lost something, because anything you bring in should be valuable. But how do we then absorb that out of the general fund moving forward? So we're trying to utilize these dollars to the best of our ability in terms of academic and facility or whatnot, but it is sustainable at the same time. So that's the balancing we have. And we have until June of 2023 to have this spent. So we got over 2 years. And it's not a race to spend it as fast as you can. There's going to be things that come up. We can spend it on new curriculum. You can spend it on windows. I mean, there's different things underneath there. Air quality is one of them. One of our maintenance goals, maybe we haven't talked about this as much in the recent times, is to look at some type of dehumidifier, aka air conditioning, this building over here. But again, well, I shouldn't say again, it's expensive to do those things. We don't want to utilize this whole 635 on just an air system that would be your senior on. So it's, going through and prioritizing what we're at with that. But the good news is, funds are available to do some of these things.
I had a webinar today too, and I'm sorry, I think I said state funds, it's just federal. But they were showing a graph of how these funds were being used. And originally, they were being used, the majority of them, for the technology and that broadband used for the hotspots and what have you. And now you can see the trend is shifting, and they're focusing on all this delayed learning. You know, we need to get the kids caught up on their learning, so now that's where a lot of the focus is going. So that was just interesting to see that.
We're very fortunate of being in school all year, every day, where some districts, and this is nationwide, of course, okay? They just come back, and so they have a much bigger gap to narrow. Now, does that mean, we always have learning gaps, you know, whether we have a pandemic or not. So, you know, we're gonna do the best we can to utilize this in the academic side as much as we can.
Anyone else?
Great job, Angela, your first one, you rocked it.
Yes. If there's no questions for Angela, I entertain a motion to approve the bills. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, motion carried. All right, now we will go on to the administrative report. Mrs. Hoskins, please.
Okay, I do appreciate everybody's support and those of you who participated in the community participated in our leadership day. That was good. It's hard. Online was hard, but they did a great job, and it was very good. We didn't know the kind of participation we would get, but I do appreciate everybody's support there. ISASC, but we are finishing up this week. That's it. It's going to be interesting when we show you all the data points. That ISASC data that we get back is very important to try to relate all that and see exactly where we are. And so we're very anxious to see how our kids did.
That's the old basic skills.
I wanted to mention, I think that the teachers did a really good job of getting the kids to realize how important it was for them to be here. First had a dentist appointment, it was supposed to be Monday morning, and Sunday I was like, oh, hey, tomorrow morning, and he like went to panic mode. He's like, I can't miss those tests. I have to be there. And he was like freaking out about it, and he's like, no, they said, we need to be there. And I was like, you did a really good job passing it along.
There you go. And it was really good because the kids who do makeup tests always feel like they're missing something in the classroom. It just seems like they never do as well. Sometimes we see kids drop and we look at that, and they're gone. So, yeah, good job, Mom.
We did it in the afternoon. It was, I have it in the morning, and Grady's like, yeah, it's in, I'm like, okay, we're good then. Calm down.
Good work. I listed our rock, paper, scissors, March, all-school celebration champs. That's always a big event. Fourth grade beginning band, we obviously still, with our COVID protocols in place, won't be doing that in the spring. We moved it to August. And hopefully we'll be able to do that then. And even if we can't, we can do it then because we can bring them in a few at a time instead of the mass testing. Fifth and sixth grade, our first band concert that will be live, will be on May 10th. We're doing it before the junior high and jazz band concert at the high school. So ours is at 6 and theirs is at 7. Try to, again, keep the crowd small and allow them to perform. Other than that, you can pretty much read through. The PTO today, we, instead of having their family fun night, they did a fantastic job. We have a very good group of PTO members, and they devised a Leader in Me scavenger hunt around town. So families could do together from a Friday through a Tuesday, and then today they drew for 18 games and 2 bicycles. So we had a lot of little happy campers today, and Shelley Wolf donated the bicycles, so sure appreciate that. And there were 200 kids that participated, so that was great.
Good.
PTO also has given us donations for the observatory and the library media center. We're really looking at all of our books in the library media center. All the trainings and kind of buzz thing now is make sure that you have books for kids to see mirrors and windows. So mirrors as in reflecting the differences amongst children and who they are, so they can all see themselves, and then, of course, windows for possibilities. So we appreciate the money that's come our way there. And then I guess really the last thing I have on there is we're kind of a survey city right now, and the Leader in Me survey is very important to us That's how we set our goals for our action teams for next year's work. That's how we decide what to do with our later year committees. And our parent participation has been very high. I think we're over 100 surveys returned already electronically. And we'll get all the kids and teachers. So again, we combine all three sets of those data points to make our decisions. Any questions?
Good job, thank you.
What's the kindergarten number?
I didn't look, sorry. Sorry, Gil. I'll let you know tomorrow.
We go up 60?
Oh, yeah, I think we'll go 60.
I
If
think
not,
so, too.
we'll hit 60.
Okay, well,
I'm very confident.
we're right there, I just,
Yeah.
well, the reason Joy just had an open enrollment today
Um,
for another kindergarten.
Oh, good. Yay. All right, thank you, Mrs. Austin, unless there's questions. Otherwise, Mr. Snavely.
Yeah, good evening. I included my parent-teacher conference percentages. You'll see when you compare to the spring to the fall, it's pretty even keel, actually. The 9th and 10th grade, obviously, is the best data there, and it kind of falls off a little bit as they get into, the later grades in high school. And for some reason, that 7th grade, even 8th grade is pretty low. So I don't know if they don't do a lot in junior high, and all of a sudden it kind of kicks in high school. So I don't, we try different things, but with doing it online this year, it's hard to do real crazy. But again, it's pretty comparable. The other thing I want to point out is just, right now, we're working on scheduling for next year. So as soon as we hit that fourth quarter, it's really about wrapping up one school year and setting the stage for the other. So I know our counselors are working really hard at getting students scheduled and get that all done. I know our career counselor, Andrea Schulteis, is really working on getting that decision day. We call it senior decision day. It's not just about college, it's about anybody that's, has plans. We'll be celebrating that later on this month as well. So it's just really wrapping up a year and starting a new year all in one. So that's really where we're at right now as we, look to the end of the school year with about 6 weeks remaining. So I did, at the bottom of my report, just listed, I didn't put everything on the school calendar, but I did go through the school calendar the last 6 or so weeks and just highlighted the major things. Again, it's not golf meets and track meets and all those things that are all over the calendar, but I did pick out, some of the big ones. Just to highlight a couple of things there. That FFA convention, you heard the girls say, that is going on. They moved it to Des Moines this year, because I think they can host more than Hilton would allow, where it's normally at Hilton and Ames. But that's going to go on. I know masks are going to be required. There's a lot of, things that are in place for that. But that'll be interesting. We haven't had a lot of big groups come together across the state, to be honest with you. So that'll be interesting. We are going to move forward with the blood drive. We're only going to do students and staff. We wanted to do our community in the morning, like before school started, because that's a Wednesday late start, but they wouldn't commit to that many hours, so that wasn't on us, that was on the blood drive folks for that. So hopefully we can get back to doing that normal with having community come in and things like that. That athletic signing day, Ryan transformed that a little bit. We'll see how that goes this year. I think it's going to be a nice change, but instead of doing an athletic signing here and there, in the media center, at the end of the day, where there's lots of students in here, he actually put it together, and they're going to do them all at once. And parents have been notified, and coaches are coming from colleges. They'll be here as well. And hopefully that's on Eric's calendar too. So other than that, we're getting ready for prom. Fantastic is going to happen this year. It'll be a short. I think it's going to be a little shorter than maybe in the past, but. You can see senior decision days at the end of April on the 30th. And then I know Miss Erickson's really getting ready for the variety show and that kind of thing. And then if you look, we'll go into the end of May with senior awards night and graduation. So that senior awards night doesn't just happen. There's a lot of things right now happening with the scholarships and all that planning and all the different awards that have taken place with that. So that's right on schedule, and we'll be ready to roll when May comes around. So. Any questions about my board report? We as well have been doing SASPA. We're looking forward to that. We're done tomorrow, so it's Mr. Myers did a really good job of pulling that together for us and keeping everybody on track with that. a lot of work that goes behind the scenes, and then the conditions for learning survey comes out about the same time. So he's monitoring that and sending that out as well, so kudos to him too. Any questions?
You want to go over anything on the activities report, Mark?
I looked at it a little bit.
I can pull it up.
I know we had the all conference basketball, there's a couple that were all state on there. What else did you have? I don't remember, I looked at it.
Sports numbers, track and golf, boys and girls.
We had our first track meet Monday night. There were 11 teams total here for that. I worked that meet, we were in pretty smoothly. We're using the plungers that we had a little hiatus where we didn't use, we were using like handheld timers. And Ryan did a really nice job of getting that up and running. And I was a head timer Monday night and it ran really smoothly. So thanks to Ryan for taking the lead and getting that going too. So track meet went well. So we had 4 of them this year actually, because we have junior high conferences here. So it'll be a little bit more intense with that. So coaches did a good job helping out with that. Mr. Burnett, what else is on there?
Spring show
Yeah.
The step right show, yeah.
and the meet, or the Blue Valley Conference.
Yeah, there's looks like North Cedar's gonna possibly leave, I think that's 22-23 school year. And then they're looking at Macoka and Iredell back when coming in. I don't think that's been voted on yet, right?
No,
So,
we have a board of control meeting on Friday, the president of that group, and it won't be voted on this week, but North Cedar's already been accepted in the Tri-Rivers Conference. So if those other 2 schools come in, we gotta figure out how the rest of our conference will look. I'm guessing, it's strictly a guess, but there would be 8 teams in the north, 7 teams in the south, and we just each do our thing under the umbrella of the River Valley Conference. But that's not my decision. I mean, that'd be my preference, but that's up to the conference to vote on that. So, and that would take place, I believe, in September or October.
How does the conference work? Does somebody at each school go to, are they part of?
The board of control.
Or whatever? So does Hetzler or somebody go to?
They have monthly AD meetings where they get together and talk about the AD stuff. They have principal meetings at different times throughout the year. Then there's the board of control, which the superintendents are primarily on. And if we have a constitution and bylaws, and if there's something that needs to be voted on, to give an example, Friday, there's a couple of people that are commissioners of the conference that are kind of work with the ADs or whatnot. One of them's a retired AD and one of them's a current AD. And then they will report out to the board of control what their recommendation is for the conference and timelines and that sort of thing. And then we ultimately vote on, think of a school board. The board of control votes on that recommendation.
I wonder how that works.
Yep. Conference affiliations, it's amazing how much has changed in the last 15 or 20 years. It used to be, you're in a conference for life.
Yeah.
But with enrollments going all over the place and district football, I think the biggest change I've seen in my career that's affected conferences is district football, because back in the day, football was conference, okay? And so things were pretty, right, wrong, or indifferent, your conference was all about the same size as football and football. And that kind of, right, wrong, or indifferent again, drove a little bit of everything. You take football out of the mix, because it's district, the conferences just, I think, it was like popcorn. We want to go here, for different leagues, so yeah, we shall see what happens. Interestingly, you look at that northern side of the conference, size-wise, they're the bigger schools, okay, than the southern schools. West Branch, us, Durant. West Liberty's kind of the oddball in terms of size. I mean, their school's significantly bigger than anyone else in the South, Regina and Prairie. But you go north, Cascade, Monticello, those are big 2A, small 3As. Beckman coming in, and Macoka, they're bigger schools. So, Anyway, there's a lot to be determined, but this isn't something that, how do I say this? Well, once this gets approved, it'll be, Anamosa, they just came in a couple years ago. There's big 2A, small 3A too, as well, so, every couple years, you're gonna see tweaks to the conference, I'm afraid. But that's the process.
All right.
Anything else?
From Mr. Snavely? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Action items, consent agenda number 1.
Sometimes you'll hear me joke that I leave like consent agenda number 1 on here when there's nothing under consent agenda
I
number
know,
1.
but
This is the inverse of that, where we have probably the largest consent agenda
there's
number 1,
something, there's
possibly.
something under every.
Yeah, possibly in my tenure here.
They said, didn't they?
Resignations, you can see the 4 there, from the cheer coach to teachers that are taking positions either closer to home or just moving up in the world in terms of what they would like to do. Then we got a coaching position, Mr. Grunder, who's given that up because of his, he's just very involved with different things. And kudos to Mr. Snavely, he's had a busy spring with the hiring, Mrs. Austin as well, but Mr. Snavely's have been more people resigning to take different jobs recently, not ones necessarily that took early, the retirement package. Transfers, Mr. Beams requested a transfer from the tag position to the math computer science teaching position. The nice part with Mr. Bean's background is that computer science piece. It's tough to find somebody with a math background, also the computer science. And that's not a requirement at the state level to have that computer science offering at the secondary level. So when Sarah Andrews left us, he requested a transfer to that position, and that's honestly worked out really well for us. So we're currently looking for a tag teacher to replace Mr. Bean's position. Job descriptions, there's 2. It's the elementary media center manager and the junior senior high media center manager. Mrs. Glover's at the elementary and Lisa Taylor Burns here at the junior senior high. And number 4, under the terminations reductions, we have 2 cleaners that we're not going to renew their contract once it is up June 30th. So that's why they're in the termination piece. They're not immediately, but it's just one of those, we're not going to renew it. So that's everything under personnel changes, consent agenda number 1.
I move to approve consent agenda number 1.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda number 2, our favorite.
Yes, the policies. This is all about you as board members.
Woo!
This is your chance to change anything you'd like. We did change this a few years ago to give activity passes for board members
Yes,
for lifetime
yes.
membership, and that's well deserved. School visitation by board members, by any means, come to schools or something you want to see it. This leads into a conversation that Jeremy and I had via email, but I want to share this with the board tonight. And it's interesting based upon not your stage in life, but your level of activity with your kids. Okay? Jeremy and Tara may hear a little bit more with their younger kids in the elementary side and with the sporting side, and Rob has been in that boat, and as his kids have matured and going through you. And, Tim and Linda have been through this too, as far as your circles and the people that you talk to or whatnot. And Jeremy and I were just, again, having an email conversation briefly, because it was about an hour before the board meeting.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. No, I think it's a great
But I got
conversation.
my 5 minutes today.
No, but it's a great conversation, I think, in general as a board, and with Jeremy and Tim being relatively new board members still. If anyone, and again, it's your circles, okay? Who do you have contact with, Tim and you don't run through the same circle, neither does Linda and Tara. It's just, again, where you're at life, and your social circles, your kids' circles. But if any of you have any questions that might be administratively related, let's say you have a question, I'll use Jeremy as an example, because he's highly involved, like you're saying, about sports, with youth sports, and Tara is too right now. and as well as Rob. But if there's a question that comes up or you hear something, and what you hear may not always be fact or fiction, but it's tough because I know as a superintendent, I get asked certain things, and I don't know everything that goes on between both districts, just like you don't know everything that goes on as a board member, but people expect you. Well, aren't you on the school board? Don't you know how they handle third grade band, auditions? Which we don't have third grade band. We know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They expect you as a board member to know, why don't you know this? I highly encourage each of you, if there's something that's elementary based, email Mrs. Austin and she can give you the answer. If it's secondary based, Mr. Snavely. If it's activities or athletic based, get a hold of Mr. Hetzler. And just say, hey, help me understand how you schedule X. Help me understand what happens if there's a team that's scheduled in the gym and they don't show up for 2 times, and how's that, or whatever it may be, and depending on the circle you're in, you're going to hear more based upon their experiences or their, what they heard through the grapevine. And so I just wanted to reiterate to you as board members, it is your right as a board member to ask questions. Now, if it's something specific, whether it's, in the classroom, it's your right as a parent, but as a board member, I ask that you go through the administrative channels so the administration can, explore that and get back to you. And if there's ultimately things then that, and I say this jokingly because it doesn't exist, that way there's no preconceived notion, but let's say Jeremy emails, or here's something about third grade band auditions and why 5 people can't play the drums. How do we determine who plays the drums? Email Mrs. Austin, she talks to the band teacher, and it finds out that our protocol for playing the drums is whose parents are on the school board, and that's a bad thing. Then we bring it back to a work session and say, hey, we need to look at our policy on who gets to play the drums, okay?
Yeah.
Then it would get to that next point, and it should. But you have the complete prerogative as a board member to email the administration or again, and Mr. Hetzler is in that branch of oversight. So is Joe Raggis. So is Terry Dinkman in the lunchroom. So is Ryan Lilienthal with the transportation and department. So is Lana Moeller if you have a question about something along those lines. But if it's something specific on a coach or a teacher, as a parent, of course you can. But as a board member, go through that channel. And then, like I said, ultimately, if there's something that needs to be discussed, hey, we need to look at our policy on how we schedule this or how we determine this. Then we can talk about it as a board and put that in place. And so I want you to know you have that green light to do that. And that's, in your roles, you're responsible for the policy making and overseeing the district. Administration, department heads, business manager, we're responsible for managing the day-to-day, and a lot of the policies are vague that the board approves. So there's a lot of subjectivity to it. But ultimately, if there's something you'd like to see done, that is your role and that is your prerogative as a board. So I just wanted to mention that because in Jeremy and I's conversation, I thought, Tim might have some questions on that. And it's also good for just review as a board. That's how we operate. And I think it's effective if we stay within those boundaries and just understand how that works. I know some districts, if the boundaries aren't defined, it can be a nightmare where you have board members calling teachers saying, hey, I'm a board member and you need to change the way your seating charts are because I don't think that's a good idea. There's different, on how things work. So, anyway, and if you have questions too about, hey, I heard this, who should I contact? Shoot, call me, email me, text me. I can say, hey, that's a good question. Why don't you contact, Angela because she oversees this budgetary piece, or contact Ryan. So, no, it was a good I thought it was good, and it just made me reflect on, hey, I want to say something to the group. That being said, I have nothing else under consent agenda number 2.
You time.
I'm
Time
over my time.
allotment.
If Joe is done now, I'll motion to approve.
Yeah.
Consent agenda number 2.
Sorry. Hey, if you email me, this is the consequence.
There's a lot of
I
one.
said.
And now we have to be here for 15 extra minutes.
Yeah.
It's Jeremy's fault.
Sorry.
All right, did you get a second?
I did, yes.
Okay, sorry. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, consent agenda number 3.
All right, it's a little bit longer too, but it's good. It's the district budget as presented in March, and also anything earlier. I'm just gonna go through these, but stop me if you have specifics. Letter B is the master contract with the WEA that we came to a tentative agreement latter part of March. Letter C is a certified staff handbook. Nothing has changed in there, okay? For next year. Letter D, it's the administrative classified salary and wages, which the board discussed at our last special meeting or work session, that ended up being exempt because of going over that. As directed. Letter E, it's the classified staff summary benefits, which is similar to what the certified staff handbook is, but that's in the benefits piece. And then, Joy, to my knowledge, there's no changes in that either.
Correct.
Letter F, semantics. All it is in policy 218-1E1 is changing it to the December board meeting, since we have our now organizational meeting in December. That's the only thing. And we get to read it twice. Letter G is the MOA with Mississippi Bend for the homeschool assistance program. They do help us quite a bit with that, and I recommend we continue that programming piece. And then letter H is the latchkey handbook for next year. You'll see our elementary and junior, senior high handbooks. We typically do those in May and June.
Was there any changes in the last? Oh, other than probably specific dates.
Yes, it's
That's
May.
usually what it, unless
Yep.
we're told other things.
Yeah, there's not anything
Dates.
program-wise of any major shifts
Right.
other than,
Right, which is the date
Yeah.
on the last page.
I saw where she had some highlighted areas, but I think that was just to bring it to the attention of the parents, you know,
Yes, yes.
like
there's
about
some
sack
program.
lunches and stuff, so.
Yes, here it is. It's like I said, the very last page, just put in the days that they're closed and something. Okay. All right,
so that's it under consent agenda number 3.
Make a motion, consent agenda number 3.
second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, individual action items.
Yes, I recommend we appoint Angela Dan as our board treasurer.
Move to appoint Angela Dan as the board treasurer. Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Now, this one's a resolution, therefore it's a roll call vote, authorizing Ms. Lana Moeller, our HR director, Angela Dan, our SBO, board treasurer, to initiate wire transfers as well as all payrolls as ACH transactions through community banking trust.
Is this, were we doing this before? Just with a different bank?
No,
It's-
we're authorizing, Stacy used to be the person who was authorized to do it. So it's the same bank, it's just kind of like appointing the board treasurer, now we're authorizing.
Just a different person?
Yep, and we're including Lana as well in her roles HR.
The normal practice, I guess.
Yep.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing Lana Miller, Human Resource Director, and Angela Dan, School Business Officer, official board treasurer, to initiate wire transfer as well as all payroll as ACH transactions through community banking trust.
Second. We ask roll call.
Okay, Tim Barrett,
Yes.
Linda Duncan,
Yes.
Jeremy Lee,
Yes.
Rob Metzger,
Yes.
Kurt Wright.
Okay, informational discussion items. You can see our hirings there from coaching to the teaching positions. I always ask my administrators to forward new teacher information to you, similar to what they send to the staff, so you can do their background, keep you in the loop on that.
Yep.
A couple things before we get to the maintenance piece. I'm gonna meet with the maintenance committee afterward tonight to discuss our process in the hiring of the maintenance director. But a few things to note that I have written down here. Masking. You've seen some districts in the state of Iowa that are making changes here within the last part of the school year. We are not getting that, it's not recommended by our health department in the county to change where we're at. And honestly, we have 6 weeks to go
Yeah.
from tomorrow for the last day of school. And as we said earlier, I think we're very fortunate that we've been in school every day, all day, throughout the entire school year. Right, wrong, or indifferent, everybody's got a different opinion. I think the precautions we took last year in August allowed that to happen. And for us to change it with just 6 weeks to go, I'm not sure that would be a good idea. Now, that's up to the board. But it's my recommendation to continue our return to learn plan as stated, keeping the masks in place throughout the rest of the school year with the hope that when we start in the fall, we can return to somewhat normalcy. But there's no guarantee of that,
No.
okay? But that's my hope. I'd say goal, but really it's nothing I can do. You know, I mean, we gotta see where we're at as a society. It's not in that department. But I just wanted to let you know, if you want that change, that's your prerogative as a board. It's my recommendation to stay where we're at for the next 6 weeks and get through the school year. And hopefully as we go into the summer, we can start to negate that. As far as our outdoor events for baseball and softball or whatnot, to me it would be similar to what we did last fall with the football. And as far as not requiring the mask, because then again, we've got the challenges of enforcing that in the summer. Especially in outdoor events like that with baseball and softball. We're looking at the latchkey of relaxing the masks as well. Most of what they do is activity-based. The kids are running and outside and doing, we're looking at summer school. Last year, if you remember, we did mask up with latchkey as it got later, as masks became more prevalent. And we also did masks at the summer school. And it was a great trial period for us to see how things go. I think the same could be true this summer in the reverse. You know, to see where we're at on that. So I just want to mention that because you'll see schools, and I've seen a few already that are making headlines with that. Thursday, May 27th is our last day of school. We get out at 11 p.m. And again, that's 6 weeks from Thursday. Mr. Samuel mentioned this earlier, but graduation, we're going to have a football field. We liked that last year, unless it's a rain situation or bad weather, and then we move it indoors. We already talked about North Cedar, and I talked about earlier about contacting different people. The Commons are starting the punch list on the final second on the Commons. So that's moving forward as well. Tim and I had a conversation, and I just wanted to share this with the rest of the board too. We're getting bids to paint it's asbestos paneling, but the paneling around the high school gymnasium is brown. Isn't it interesting how bad those panels look when you see it next to a nice building? So we want to get that cleaned up, painted, anything needs replaced, but getting that looking sharp.
What color did we decide that was gonna be?
Well, here's what I think we need to make sure we do. The brown paneling on top of the new facility, we've always stressed symmetry here. I think it all needs to be the same. If you look, when you leave or you drive by tomorrow, you can see that the brown paneling matches closely to what we have now. Let's get that same paint tone and just take it all the way around. But it's a brown, dark gray, brown. One thing I do want to mention, I invited Ben Shirkin today to do a walkabout with me in the new Commons. There's a lot of white paintings out there. And I really want that area to pop. So I'm taking cream, but we left it homemade. And I'm trying to make a commons down there that's homemade, that doesn't seem sterile, that doesn't seem like you're in a doctor's office. If we get some colors, some things pop, just like in the wall behind you. You know, it's a white wall, and then it goes to school, but you know what? We want the homemade. And so I thought, why not tap into our local talent? So I had a really good conversation with Ben today, and he's gonna give me some proposals, and I wanna share them with you when it gets closer. So I'm excited about it. That stuff kind of just, when you're down there, if you think about it, you know how we got the blue trim all the way around, or I don't know what you wanna call it, border wall, border blue, everything above there are huge white panels, you know, drywall like this. What can we put on each of those that'll just pop? So I'm excited. Not to be goofy, but boy, when I met him today, we talked for a half hour and he gave me some ideas. Ben helped with in the elementary commons, where you come in that front door, you know, those metal panels that we took the picture. Ben took the picture that day in the fire truck.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It's that sort of thing. What can we do down there on a larger scale to bring that to life? So I'm excited. That's all I have. I do want to talk to the maintenance committee afterward briefly. Is there anything pool board?
Yeah.
We have exciting stuff,
Real
talk
quick.
about exciting stuff.
I'm just gonna lay this out, and everybody can look at it up front here. We talked with my builders last night, and this is the front of it, of the pool. And it shows here what, the glass that we're removing, the two doors that are going on the outside, and then this is all being replaced here. That was a great conversation last night, working with him. The pool will be closing on May, I wrote that down, where's that? May 5th, and it should be,
Because they'll start draining it.
to start draining then, and he's calling for an 8 or 5-week project.
For sure,
Or
5
week, 5 weeks. So if anybody wants to come up here and take a look at what it's gonna look like, you're more than welcome to. The next big thing we need to make is the decision of the color here. So if anybody has an idea, what we need to pick this.
Stephanie has the board
The
through
color
the
chart
color
that we can
thing.
pick from, but these are these really neat, they're about this thick, and they're big siding pieces that all interlock with each other. And it was really neat hearing how that's all gonna work. But yeah, it was a really exciting meeting last night, and we're gonna hit this thing running, and kinda cool.
That's awesome.
I'm excited, because I'm gonna be a
Yeah.
dork that's gonna be looking in the window.
Yeah. there's gonna be a
To
lot
see
of
what
this.
they're doing. I mean, they are really, they're taking, and we may get some fans, you know, the one fan hasn't worked forever. And we couldn't get the big fan, because that was too expensive. But we're gonna get 2 or 3 small, because we need that circulation.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're gonna try to do that, and Joe Ragus was there last night too to help us, but yeah,
It was very happy
it's,
to have there.
it's gonna be a big undertaking, but I think it's gonna be, and then, of course, we wanna retile, and we're holding off on the actual, in the locker rooms, because we feel we need to do it all. When we have the money, we're just gonna do it all. And we may have to patch some of the spots, because there are hazards,
Right.
and just spot fix some of them when they come to grout,
Yep.
or the
They're gonna
pool.
get an estimate.
Because yes, we're draining the pool and the normal thing, and then we're gonna do all that stuff.
Yeah. So it was really, it was a good
Yes.
meeting last night, and we're excited, so it's gonna be.
Good.
that people- we
Well, I'll tell you what, when it's done, let's plan on a tour in June.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
Can we do that?
yes, yes,
All right.
definitely.
So, yeah, if anybody wants to take a look, they're more than welcome to, see real quick what it's gonna look like. and
Yeah, it's
We
gonna
can go from
be,
there.
taking out the doors and putting different, yeah, it's
It
gonna
would be
be.
great at some point, I'd love to have a copy in my office.
Okay.
I'm not saying I need that one, but
Yeah.
could I get a copy
Sure, yeah.
to keep in there?
Yeah.
Nope.
Awesome, well, that's exciting news. All
We're
right.
gonna do it, we're gonna do it.
I have nothing else legislatively, there's a lot of stuff still in the hopper,
Mhm.
so we'll see what happens this last few days, week. It's amazing, I swear they're like college kids that have all semester to get their homework done, but then the last 2 days, they cram everything in, and they do it at midnight, and, hey, legislation adjourned, what just happened? So, that's all I have. Our work session is at 5 o'clock, 2 weeks from tonight. And our next regular board meeting is on May 12th at 5:30. Thanks again to the FFA kids that came. That was really good.
That was good. I like that.
All right.
I move to adjourn.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?